Good early afternoon. We are live. I was back in the back. I didn't know you guys had started. What is going on? Matt just came and said, you should be in the chair right now. I was like, okay. All right. So, anyway, who's been eating in here? Somebody's been eating. I think it was the Robertsons. You reckon?
I reckon.
Jace and Al and the Robertsons were in here this morning. This is where Jace was sitting. Oh, well. That's okay. He's used to eating in the duck blind. I am excited to be here. I mean, we are, if you're just joining us for the first time, I'm Andy Andrews, and you joined us on the Blue Plate Special. That's what this chaos is all about. We are live from Wisdom Harbor Studios here in the financial district of Orange Beach at the Wharf, home of the famous escalator statues. We have Marlin statues too, but we only have 2 Marlin statues. We have 4 escalator statues. They look like real escalators. They're life-size. And, you know, you can even walk on them, take your picture with them, which we urge you to take your picture on them when you come visit us. We also have Sand Dollar Lifestyles down here. Sand Dollar's the kind of the cornerstone of the Wharf. Even though this is not a Sand Dollar shirt today, this is our shirt. This is our Just Jones shirt, and it has a printing error on the back. Matt, can you show the? Yeah, see that? A printing error. So we just decided to go with it. You know, choose your perspective anyway. If you're joining us for the first time and you're on Facebook, please share. Okay, please just share this to your page and put click the notification button there. And don't forget to turn the notifications on your phone. And that way, when we go live, if we go live on Facebook, you'll be notified. If you can also, on YouTube, click that subscription button. On LinkedIn, if you would just take off your tie. And on Twitter, just don't twit while we're going. We have a whole bunch of people in the studio today. We got a great show. The show is on serendipity today, and so you just wait. This is a lot of research for me to even find out what serendipity meant. How are you doing, Lil M? You okay? All right, good. Oh, it's your dad. You're in the shadows there. I can't, and you're holding. Yeah, you're holding my gift to your daughter. I apologize. Yeah, it's a cat. Yeah, a cat. A mama cat had baby cats, whatever you call them, and they came out from under the dock, and we caught one. She was not happy, but you know, kittens get taken from their mamas all the time, and that's just what happens to kittens. And so that one's pretty cute, though. It's a little black cat. So yeah, sure, bring it. We'll show it. Chris, like her dad's like, oh great, you gave my daughter a cat. Yeah, here.
She can be the office cat.
Yeah, no, she can't be the office cat.
You don't think? Aww.
She likes me.
Hey, little girl. Hey, I know. She's got blue eyes. She's really pretty.
We should have everybody vote on the 2 name choices.
Okay, let's have your 2 name choices are what, and we'll vote. We'll have them vote on it.
Okay, right now we have Missy and Lily. Do you not like them?
Missy and Lily.
They're after asking everyone.
That's the best you could come up with.
Not sold on it either, Andy.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, then come up with some names.
Missy and Lily. Why not? Like, if we had a boy cat, would it be Bob and Ed?
Then have them come up with it.
I mean, it's something. See, I think Serena, because Serena was the dark-headed cousin to Samantha. Even though, I don't know if you call a black cat a witch. But here, take Missy Lily.
Missy/Lily.
Yeah. I don't think you should vote on Missy and Lily. Okay, somebody says midnight. Doesn't do it? No. Yeah. No. Midnight. Yeah. Midnight. Oh yeah. Hey, Missy and Lily, much better. Okay, we got a whole bunch of people in the studio today. We got our ambassador here. Kevin Perkins is here. Christy, my sister. Margaret Hope Davis from Sunny, Mississippi. Riceville, Tennessee. Jim Midoff from Michigan. Robert Hagney from Madison, Tennessee. In the studio, we have Lauren and Rich from Gulf Shores, the ambassadors. These are our ambassadors. So we're going to get them name tags. Danny and Chris Green from Oklahoma City. Where are you guys? Hey, guys. Oklahoma City. We're glad to have y'all here. Jim and Lynn from Gulf Shores. Hey, Jim and Lynn, you guys are ambassadors too. I mean, you're going to get name tags too. Mary Ann from Gulf Shores. Hey, Mary Ann, how are you doing? This is great to have some local people. Lisa Bryant from Foley. Hey, Lisa. Karen McCoy Phipps from Gulf Shores. Hey, how are you? Who else we got? Any more names? Bob and Terry Spears from Gulf Shores. You guys, you in there, your big hat, it's like Kentucky Derby Day. Oh, Midnight or Blackie. Blackie is like Missy and Lily. Good, very coal dust. Okay. I don't know. Danny Holland says darkness. I don't know. Hey, it sounds good to me. Is that Woods Watson? Woods Watson? Now, where is Woods Watson living now? Where are you living? I can't hear you.
Louisiana.
Louisiana? Really? I'll be darned. You still got like that deep bass voice? Man, it's good to see you. Gloria says a long time ago, a black cat attacked my leg, and you still laugh about it. Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, I have a thing about black cats. Today's show's about serendipity, where, this is it's going to be great. By the way, there are only 2 classes still available for the Life Skills Project. Okay, everything else is sold out. There are 2 classes, and they're close. There's a few. These are small groups, and it's a live course. The Traveler's Gift with Dan Stone is still available, and The Little Things with Tammy Nance. And so those courses are still available for like another day. These are 8-week courses, and weekly 75-minute classes that include study guides, and you'll have a certificate of completion. So this is for your what do you call that? Continuing education, I suppose. So, and it's but these are going to be awesome. These are, and I, these last 2 that are still to be launched, I mean, they're still available because doesn't the Hartmender launch tonight?
It does, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So Kevin Williams, the Hartmender, that one's tonight. And then I know Dan Stone is like really quickly, and there's a few seats left for the Hartmender. And then Tammy is very quickly too. And so a few seats left for the Little Things. Those are both going to be incredible. classes. So just click the link on the chat box to pick your class, or head over to andyandrews.com/skills. Okay, about serendipity. This is kind of a new word for me. I've heard it all my life. Okay, but digging into it, it's kind of an odd thing. Serendipity is an accidental solution to a problem that the problem solver isn't consciously trying to solve. I mean, this may be a different definition than what most people think of as serendipity, but this is just something I've observed from watching these situations that people say, wow, that was just serendipity, especially with inventions. Because I think it's a problem that the problem solver isn't consciously trying to solve. And I think that serendipity is like credited with some of the world's most, important discoveries, from penicillin to superglue. A classic example occurred when the Swiss engineer, George de Mestral, noticed that the microscopic teeth by which these cockleburrs became attached to his dog's fur while they're walking in the woods could be adapted to hold other things together too, in the form of Velcro. And so, who doesn't love the sound of Velcro ripping? And Velcro is that's like a miracle drug. I mean, it really, not a drug, but it's a miracle, kind of miracle drug, I guess. Now, I love this story. I found this story, and this is a serendipity story. This company called Kutal Products was founded in Cincinnati in 1912. And in 1912, they had become the largest wallpaper cleaner manufacturer in the world. Now, you talk about things that are no longer needed, right? I mean, just like around here, we have, Texas has banned the gill nuts. Then Louisiana had banned the gill nuts, and Mississippi banned gill nuts, and Florida banned the gill nuts, and here's stupid Alabama. We have 87 gill net licenses that they allow, these people to net fish off the coast. I mean, and just basically take out everything, because these are like ghost nets, I mean, they kill everything. And of course, the reasoning there is that, well, we make our living from nets, and we have made it. And so I'm just saying, they're not still making wallpaper cleaner. I mean, nobody kept the vinyl record factories open, and somebody made livings with that. And so it just gets me, because I'm a fisherman. And we used to catch big speckled trout around here, but anybody knows that wants to catch big speckled trout, you got to go to Louisiana or Florida, or even Mississippi or Texas, but not here. Okay, back to the company. I'm off my soapbox now. So now we'll talk about the soap for wallpaper. But they made this soft, pliable compound, and it was used for wiping the soot from wallpaper. But fortunes began to change in the 1950s, though, because with the transition from heating with coal, which was dirty, to oil and gas and electricity, which was cleaner, the sooty buildup on wallpaper was no longer an issue in households. And so the handwriting was on the wallpaper for these people. I mean, their company was going under. I mean, because there was, their primary product was no longer in demand, and the future looked bleak. Fortunately, there was a serendipitous situation. They're looking for a solution to this problem, and one of the owners of the company, his sister-in-law, was a nursery school teacher, and her idea was, she said, "Is this stuff poisonous?" And they said, "No, it's not. You could actually eat it." And she said, "Well, let's let the kids play with it." So it was Joseph McVicker that was trying to turn around this struggling company, and his sister tested this non-toxic material with the children, who loved like molding it into all kind of shapes. And she told him that, the kids are loving it, and it's kind of like dough, and they're playing with it. You could call it Play-Doh. That's actually what she said. And so here's this company going out of business, and now Play-Doh has sold more than 3 billion cans. 3 billion cans, which eclipses wallpaper cleaner by light years, I'm thinking. And the other thing about Play-Doh, that I looked this up to see, how many pounds is 3 billion cans, and it's 700 million pounds of this stuff. Now there's serendipity for you. The Post-it note, that was kind of an accidental thing, because a 3M scientist, Spencer Silver, is doing research on glue, on adhesives, and trying to get a strong adhesive. And, it's like a cliche that when you're trying to invent something, you fail at it and then try it again. Well, he's trying to invent strong adhesives and does just the opposite. He comes up with a very light adhesive that it stuck lightly to surfaces, but it didn't bond, and it didn't leave any mark or anything. He initially just put it aside, had no idea what to do with it. And it was years later when another 3M scientist, a guy named Art Fry, came to him with the idea to create a bookmark that could stick to paper without damaging it, because he was in his church choir, and he would put those sticky things in the hymnal, to get to the thing, and so that became the Post-it note, which they've sold 3 billion cans of Post-it notes, which is 700 million pounds of Post-it notes. Bubble wrap was another one. Bubble wrap. There was 2 engineers that but get this, you talk about a little connection here. They invented bubble wrap on purpose, but the purpose they invented it for, which just seems weird to me, but they invented it for wallpaper. That was never going to work. That was just never going to work. And if they had some and just put it out somewhere, they could have figured out that wasn't going to work, because kids would have come from miles around to pop it. But you're not putting that on any wall that some kid's not going to go, kids. And so this wallpaper was unsuccessful, and there wasn't even any wallpaper cleaner around to clean it with anyway. But they decided to pivot. I'm surprised they didn't make a toy out of it, but I guess that would have had to come with a warning label, wouldn't it? This plastic bubble wrap is a great toy, and it'll kill you. But they marketed it first as greenhouse insulation, and then in 1960 as protective packaging. Did you know bubble wrap had been around since 1960? I did not. I thought those plastic peanuts were, when I was a kid, they had that grass right? I mean, you get stuff made in Japan, and it would have that grass.
Like in A Christmas Story when he's throwing all the stuff out of the box.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that grass is a big problem now.
What's that?
It's called Kogan grass. And that it came into Portomobile, actually. I kind of, when I was a kid, I suppose, and people, what do you do when you're unpacking and packing stuff? You throw it away, and it's just brown grass. And so people threw it away, and it had seeds in it. And this stuff is all over the Southeast now. And it's called Kogan grass. Weyerhaeuser is spending millions trying to fight it, and they can't kill it. It has roots that are so deep that you can burn it, it'll come right back. Poison it, come right back. And it chokes out everything. I mean, anywhere where the sunlight hits, that Kogan grass spreads. But that came in, when we were kids, and it came in the Portomobile. So, serendipity in a bad way, I suppose. So, but serendipitous discoveries, tend to happen in unexpected ways. I think, but the stories of these serendipitous discoveries are pretty interesting. In fact, there are two different artificial sweeteners that in their basic components of the stories are identical. The basic component of the serendipitous moment is identical because both of these sweeteners were discovered when a scientist put his hand to his mouth and tasted something sweet. Saccharin has been around since 1897, and it was Johns Hopkins University. One night, a guy named Konstantin Farberg came home from the lab, picked up a piece of bread, and took a bite. It was sweet, much sweeter than sugar. And he realized he was eating bread dusted with some chemical he'd made that day at work.
That sounds like some kind of violation. He was not following procedure.
Yeah, I also wonder if he realized he was tasting some chemical. I wonder if he realized he didn't wash his hands before he picked up the bread. That would seem to be something you'd expect a scientist to do, but the only way to find out what it was that was sweet on his lab bench was he went back the next day and tasted everything. This is when you think about it, which Michael Meyer, who is the editor-in-chief of a brochure thing called Chemical Heritage, said that, he went and tasted everything in his lab and found out there was a compound, benzoic sulfamide, and he called it saccharin. And to find out if it was safe, he took 10 grams, swallowed it, and waited for 24 hours to wait to see what happened. And nothing happened. And so today you can have like pink packages of saccharin. He decided it was safe. And since then, it's been used in all kinds of drinks. And in World War II, when sugar supplies were low, saccharin was the deal. And so now you get it in those little pink packages. That's sweet and low. Saccharin. Yep. Hey, Christy Solar. Danica Patrick says, when do you find time to read all that you do? I'm all over the map. So here's the other one. Here's the other sweetener is aspartame. And that was in 1965. I didn't know that had been around that long either. But James Slatter was trying to create a compound to treat ulcers. And he was in the lab, and he licked his finger to pick up a piece of paper and noticed this very strong, sweet taste. And so initially he thought he still had some sugar on his hands from earlier in the day. There's another scientist not washing his hands. From earlier in the day. I had some sugar just from earlier. I was just like, I was eating Pop-Tarts and I just had sugar on my hands. But he quickly realized that this couldn't be since he had washed his hands in the meantime. I don't know if he really washed his hands or if he was just saying that so that his wife wouldn't say, well, you don't wash your hands? Wash your hands. Yep. He's probably just trying to keep his wife off his back. But he traced that taste, that powder, back to the container that he had placed the crystallized aspartol methamphetamine methyl ester cocaine, heroin. I don't know how you pronounce all of the, but he said that the tester that he was tasting was not likely to be toxic. It was not likely to be. So therefore he tasted a little more of it and found that the substance that he had previously tasted on his finger, and I mean, this just seemed ridiculous to me. That's how you. But aspartame is kind of like saccharin, is still widely used to sweeten all kind of soft drinks. And I mean, every time you rip into a packet of NutraSweet or Equal, that's aspartame. And the FDA has evaluated the sweeteners a handful of times, and despite what the internet tells you, it's supposedly perfectly safe. I mean, I'm sure it's like safer than probably licking your fingers, And it didn't they come out? Didn't they cause cancer in laboratory mice, or something did? Some sweetener did. But my personal thoughts are that I think one day they're going to find out that cancer is just hereditary in laboratory mice. Everything's causing them cancer. It's just like they're just getting cancer. So, while these, and this is some weird thinking here, but while these serendipitous discoveries might appear accidental, they're actually a sophisticated form of wit. Okay? You hear people say, oh, somebody's funny or somebody's, but it's wit that we really admire. Comedians can be funny because they're working out a routine. Comedy routines, and I know this, I used to do it. Comedy routines are like a song. There's a big difference in a comedy routine and wit. But, there's a big difference in being funny for your family and your friends and doing it on stage on a Thursday night after you had a fight with your wife and you've got a headache and you're going in front of 1,000 people who don't know you. Now, that's tough, okay? But the wit thing, I admire more. This is kind of like the different kinds of magicians. There are two kinds of magicians, and one kind I really admire, and one kind I really don't. I mean, I'll just tell you, I think that close-up magicians, man, that's a skill. I mean, the misdirection and take a coin in your hand and go, and it's gone, and in reality they're holding it on the back of their hand, and it takes years of practice to be a close-up person and doing card stuff and all that. But illusionist David Copperfield, David Copperfield, if you had $50,000 you wanted to put into a trick and you could go, you could be David Copperfield. Because that's like you're buying an illusion. You're buying a trick, You want to make the Statue of Liberty disappear like he did? Yeah, it's about $200,000. And it's a rotating stage and lights that come on in different places. And the ability to go. So that, But, see, I think that's, this wit, which is wit, when you're talking to some witty person, or if you're using your wit in a conversation, you have the ability to see relationships in things that at first glance seem to have nothing to do with each other. Wit is kind of improvisational ingenuity. It's a practical intelligence that's more about making connections than it is just about making jokes. I'll give you an example. When Adam, our youngest son, who's now 20, Adam, when he was a kid, Polly was getting on to him about something and said Adam, and he was like, trying to negotiate, and she said, Adam, 2 wrongs don't make a right. And he said, that's true, but 2 rights can make an airplane. We're like, you gotta be kidding me. There's just making a connection that you just like, really? How did you make that connection? Do you know how the word serendipity came to be? It is actually a Persian folktale, and it's about a land called Serendip, and this is where the word came from. I'll tell you the story. In ancient times, there lived in the country of Serendip a wise and powerful king, and the king had 3 sons whom he wanted to test. So he sent the princes from Serendip to make their way in foreign lands. One day, as the princes wandered across the desert, they encountered a merchant who had lost his camel. When the merchant asked if they had seen it, they replied truthfully that they had not. But they asked the merchant, if the camel happened to be blind in one eye, missing a tooth, lame in one leg, and bearing a cargo of honey on one side and butter on the other. The merchant, is like astounded at the accuracy of this description and confirmed that all of this was true and asked again if the princes had seen the camel. And when they replied that they had not, he accused them of stealing the animal and took them to the emperor in that land for punishment. So the emperor asked the princes if they had seen the camel. They said that they had not. And then he said, well, how could you provide such an accurate description of the camel if you'd never seen it? Well, the princes knew the camel was blind in one eye because they observed that grass had been eaten from one side of the road only, and that side had far less grass. It was much greener on the other side and much more lush. So they inferred that the camel was blind on that side, otherwise it would have eaten the lusher grass. The princes knew the camel had lost a tooth because of clumps of unchewed grass about the size of a camel's tooth that lay strewn along the side of the road. So they deduced that the clumps fell out of the animal's mouth through the gap left by a missing tooth. The princes knew the camel was lame in one leg because the animal's tracks showed only 3 clear hoof prints, but the 4th was being dragged. And the princes knew that the camel was bearing a cargo of honey on one side and butter on the other, because ants, which love fat, had been attracted to the melted butter on one side of the road, and flies, which love sugar, had been attracted to the spilled honey on the other side. Just as the princes finished their explanation, a traveler arrived leading a camel he had found wandering in the desert that exactly matched this description. And so the emperor appointed the princes as his advisors. And the story of the 3 princes shows that serendipitous discoveries really leave little or nothing to accident. They rely instead on close attention and observation, which in some cases that close attention and observation can be subconscious, but it's also the key ingredient of wit. In the fields of observation, chance favors only the prepared mind. This was Louis Pasteur said that. I love that quote. The field of observation, chance favors only the prepared mind. So the 3 princes who noticed the flies around the spilled honey were really closely observing their surroundings, and so they were prepared for discovery, right? They lived by their wits, making creative connections among things that at first glance seem to have nothing to do with one another. That's serendipity. And that's no accident. It's something that we can harness. It's something that we can learn just by being a noticer. Just noticing things that other people miss and making those connections between what you're seeing and what other people are not seeing. And so it turns out that serendipity is not so serendipitous. The serendipity is, if serendipity was truly serendipitous, it would be a talent. But it turns out it's as much a skill as anything else, because it can be learned. Talent's just a gift, but a skill is something that you can learn. A talent is like Josh Groban's voice. Josh Groban can carry a tune, and I can carry a tune, but it's a totally different sound coming out of my mouth, right? He's just got a talent. He's got a gift, and a skill is like juggling. If you don't know how to juggle, I can teach you how to juggle in 5 minutes, because juggling is something that once you understand the pattern and just practice. If you can take something and throw it from one hand, catch it another, I can teach you to juggle in 5 minutes. I've taught people to juggle without ever having anything in their hands, and then gave them 3 things and said, okay, now do it. And they did it. But it's a matter of understanding something. And of course, then you practice it, you get better. It's a skill that you can develop. But a skill is something you can learn. And I think serendipity has some of those qualities. All right, Thursday we're going to be back, and it will be broadcast only on wisdomharbor.com. If you haven't joined wisdomharbor.com, come on. What is going on? I mean, this is the coolest thing. I just talked to Jimmy Urey before the show, and Jimmy is recording today for Wisdom Harbor. Jimmy is the songwriter who wrote I Drive Your Truck. He wrote I Called Mama for Tim McGraw. That's 14 number ones, 2 different Song of the Years, and he teaches guitar lessons on Wisdom Harbor. And you can join Wisdom Harbor for a lot less than a single gallon of gas. And so, yeah, there's a lot going on there. And then Thursdays is the day that the Blue Plate only broadcasts on wisdomharbor.com. So we hope you'll join us, because those are very special shows. These are too. And we have a good time with you. We appreciate you joining us. Deanna Kilpatrick says, beautiful picture behind my head. I'm not sure which one is behind my head. I can't not look. I can't. What is it? Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was sunrise, by the way. And where's the other one? I took another one like 10 minutes after that, and it looks totally different. So just amazing how the colors change and all. But thank you for being with us. Thank you, and we will see you Thursday. Don't forget the life skills. Sign up now. Bye-bye.